You are now entering the Horror Sanctum.
Hello and welcome back to the Horror Sanctum podcast. I'm Jay with John, and we are excited to be joined today by actor, director, producer, Mr. James Pax. James, thank you so much for taking some time with us today.
Really a great pleasure to be here on your program. Yes. How is your program doing these days?
It's doing well. We've gotten a lot of good guests recently, mostly in the horror world, but I think some of your films we can kind of get there from horror, especially Big Trouble in Little China. So you've been in several movies and television series, including Nash Bridges, Invasion USA, MacGyver, just to name a few. But you're probably best known for playing Lightning in Big Trouble in Little China. So that's where we're going to start.
Yeah. So I was curious. Big Trouble in Little China, legendary film. It's definitely my favorite film ever. I've probably seen it hundreds of times. It's a great film. I just wondered with that process starting out, what was it like getting cast in that movie? What was that process like? How did you get introduced to that role?
Right. Yeah, that's a question many people have asked me, but I'll answer it again. The whole process back in the 85, 86. During the summer of 86, I was in New York. I was just a kind of a new actor in the business, but I had a good agent, and they told me that John Carpenter is going to be here. They want you to go in and audition. So they gave me the sides, but they said they wanted you to do some action. So I spent about a week to choreograph a 10-minute kung fu fight, with my kung fu partner. So we went in there, slayed my name, and then did a nonstop 10 minutes hand combat and then weapon combat nonstop for 10 minutes. And after I did the audition, of course, John stood up and said, "My God, this is the best audition I've seen in New York. It's so exciting." Then I read the sides. Actually, the sides is for the bigger part, the leading part, which I didn't get. And so anyway, I knew they were impressed with my kung fu. So a week later, we got an offer. My agent said they are ready to make you an offer. I said, "Okay, what part is it?" They said they want you to play Lightning. I said, "Lightning? I remember Lightning has no lines. What happened to the role that I was auditioning for?" They said, "Oh, they probably got somebody else in mind." I was kind of disappointed because I'm always a very ambitious man. Whether I'm an actor, a dancer, a kung fu man, I always want to be the best of the best, and I always want to get the best part. But I just got started, but my ambition never stops. So I said, "Well, what do you think? Should I get this part or should I go to General Hospital?" Because at the same week, I was auditioning for General Hospital. So pretty much we were getting offer from the same week. I was getting paid a lot of money on General Hospital. This one was less. But my agent said, "You need to take this one because this is John Carpenter and it's going to bring you right to Hollywood instead of New York." I said, "Okay, fine. I'll take this one." So I went on the set, and I realized that after I saw who is the man that played the Chinese lead, then I realized why I didn't get the part, because I was much bigger and much taller. Kurt Russell is a medium-sized man. And I guess they need to have a sidekick who is a little more demure, a little smaller to look like a sidekick. I certainly do not look like the sidekick next to John Carpenter and Kurt Russell. But just so you know, Kurt is a great guy. I just tell you, Kurt is the first Hollywood celebrity I work with. But I had to say he is the most down-to-earth kind of guy. He's always ready to say hello to anybody, whether it's an extra or any actor came up. He always say hi, 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 hi. And he always say, come to my trailer. You want to talk and all of that. So he was very friendly to me, but I wasn't so daring. I never went to his trailer, but he was always very friendly. Just so you know, that's the whole process. And of course, just so you know, continue. We went to the screening at back then they called it the Chinese Man Theater. NANN, because it used to owned by MAN, now owned by TCL. And honestly, when I do all of my lightning movement, I already thought about how the lightning is going to be drawn in, because it was all after drawn in, but I had to leave more space. So I have to choreograph it in such a way that it is not convoluted or too fast or too slow. And after it was processed, apparently whoever did all the artwork was amazing. I have to tell you, till today, 35 years later, you see all the movies with lightning, my character has the best lightning till today, and it will be for another 100 years. I guarantee you that. And that's why it impresses so many audience, not just because the way I did the choreography, but because the lighting was so well drawn, because it was all hand painted. Today, you see all the new movies with lightning, it's all CGI. That's why it doesn't look real. Mine was so real. If you see the color, it's got like 3 or 4 different blue and white mixed together. That's the beauty of my lightning. And that's why later you probably will ask me about, you know, why does it inspire so many other characters like Raiden, right? So that's basically the whole auditioning process. It's my experience with Big Trouble, which I had a great time. And it really opened up my career in Hollywood, by the way. And of course, I decided, after I did the movie, I decided to stay, and the whole career took off from there. It's like 90% of the audition I go, I get it. So I do a lot of guest starring this, Nash Bridges, I can't remember. But I did at least 20 or 30 guest starring roles. And then I did a thing called in the 90s, I did Nasty Boys, which you didn't mention, but I will tell you because there are many fans from Nasty Boys. It's a 13-episode narcotic series shot in Las Vegas. And Janet Jackson's Nasty Boys was used as the theme song.
Oh, okay.
And many, many top directors directed each of the individual episodes. And one of my co-stars was Benjamin Bratt. You probably know who he is.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it was a very successful, it was a very successful 13 episodes. And it was stopped simply because Dick Wolf, the director, couldn't deliver it on time because it's a weekly episode. And because the production was so elaborated, so he wanted to produce good ones. So there was like 1 or 2 weeks that was empty. And I guess the network didn't like that. So they kind of just stopped it afterwards. But I truly think that episode should be revamped today with new characters, you know, younger actors, and they can always invite me back to be the lieutenant, of course. That will be a hit series, basically.
So when you were working with John Carpenter, what would you say that process was like with him? What would you describe him like as a director?
John is a genius. I have to tell you, there's so many Hollywood directors in the 80s and 90s. He's definitely top 3 in my book. My book, John Carpenter, the guy who directed the Italian mob movie, slipped my mind anyway. And Steven Spielberg, these are top 3 directors on my book.
Oh, Francis Ford Coppola.
Because he has so many different genres. Yes, Francis Ford. These 3 are my top 3 directors. And John is definitely one of them, but he has a wide range of repertoire, horrors, action, you know, futuristic, everything. He's just so genius. His vision is really incredible. And on Big Trouble, when I read the script, you know, it looked okay. But when it came out on the screen, it looked a lot more exciting than the script, that's for sure. Definitely. And it was definitely a masterpiece because 20th Century Fox apparently didn't put too much money into the promotion when it first came out. So in the box office, it didn't do too well. But through the years, in the last 35 years, it really gained a lot of ground, you know, on DVDs and whatever. And now the fans are up to tens of millions. Everywhere around the world, I have fans, and I got my own fan club now as well.
Wow.
So John is definitely respectable, and he's a workaholic. He's very hands-on. When he's on the set, he's always hands-on. He look after everything. I think my favorite scene is the scene in the alley when the truck comes in, and then the two sides were fighting. Wing Kong and the others, they were fighting, and then all of a sudden the three storms arrives because we are the chief nemesis, but just the two sides fighting and the sequence of that, you cannot find it in any other movie. There's always, and the way he directed, he didn't choreograph it, but he give the close up to every of the extras. Today you see any of the Marvel movie, all you see is the leading actor. Right swing, left swing, the guy flying 50 miles away. That's all you have. There's no, to me, that's not choreography. To me, that's just wiring, that's all. There's no fighting choreography. In our movie, everything is choreographed, and there is a pause that's called rhythm, because I'm a director. And that's the way I would direct it. Not like these just swing here, swing there, the person flying. It's so, excuse me, childish.
Oh, I agree. No,
I think these Marvel movies, to me, is very, very childish. Storyline is childish. Action is childish. Excuse me. Sure, they have the big Marvel book behind it, but excuse me, the character development definitely needs a lot more work, and the action to put in more. Even if you like to have a brawl in the 70s, 80s, those what is Western movies. It's even better fight in the bar than any of these Marvel movie fights, really. That's just my opinion, of course.
No, I agree. What was, one thing I did find about the movie that was interesting was the three storms. You're three very imposing individuals and very scared. Like as a kid, I was scared, but you're also very when you see you in suits, you're, good looking guys. Like you look, I thought it was fascinating that the casting, you could find three people who could be, look so nice and cool, but also be very intimidating. Did you get along very well with Carter Wong and your co-stars? What was that like?
Yes, Carter Wong is a nice guy. He's a legend himself. He did about 80 to 100 movies, for Shaw Brothers. He belonged to Shaw Brothers. And then he came out of Shaw Brothers, came to do this movie. Now, of course, he's retired. I know him very well. He's a nice guy to work with. And we also did an autograph signing, private signing with him, me and Peter Kwan and James Hong. I'm the one always organizing these private autograph signings for everybody. But he's a legend himself, definitely, yes. He's a nice guy to work with. And he's a hardcore karate guy. If you see his knuckles is like bigger than a golf ball. That's how big his. They hit the trees and hit all these steel plate. I used to practice it, but I couldn't go through all of that too much. So, but I know what it takes to practice. Martial art wise, I know everything. Anything from Aikido, Karate, Taekwondo, I've studied it all, except Jiu-Jitsu, I don't know. But everything else, pretty much everything else, I do like 10 different weapons, from spears to chains or whatever. I've done it all. Nunchucks, kali sticks. That was when I was young, of course. Yeah.
What got you started?
A great guy. Yes.
What got you started with, because I know you've been in the entertainment industry a long time. What got you started in martial arts? Has that been something, was martial arts before even the entertainment side, or which one came first? What really got you into that?
Yeah. Well, I think this is a good question, because just like many of Bruce Lee's fans, I'm a big Bruce Lee's fan. I think Bruce Lee will live for another 500 years. Nobody is ever going to surpass what Bruce Lee has done for the Kung Fu movie industry. Nobody. Okay? Not Chuck Norris, not Van Damme and all of that. But The only other person I truly respect is Chuck Norris, because it was him and Bruce Lee at this incredible fight at the Roman Colosseum in Italy, if you know that movie.
Mhm.
I can tell you, if you really study, whether you know Kung Fu or you don't know Kung Fu or you don't know karate, but you watch that fight, the way it was choreographed, it was simple and yet so effective. And you really feel like two gladiators or two animals are going after each other. It was so well choreographed and nothing convoluted. You see a lot of fight these days, you know, with a new Kung Fu movie. It was so fast, you can't even see, you know, where the punch and the kick is coming from, and then do a lot of tricking and all that. That's what makes that movie so classic. And Bruce Lee brought Chuck Norris in and made Chuck Norris now a star, of course. But those two are the legend of martial arts movies ever. That's just my statement. And I was inspired by Bruce when I was just a little boy because I watched him on TV in Hong Kong. I'm from Hong Kong. He inspired me, so I started practicing all his moves. You know, and then I came to America, you know, lived in New York. I was taking up karate and taekwondo and different martial arts. That's how I became a martial artist. But on top of that, you know, I'm a very open-minded guy. I went to see a ballet, and one of the Russian ballet dancers was so incredible. I said, that is Bruce Lee in ballet shoes. Next thing you know, I'm a ballet dancer. So anything related to movement, I mean, I don't do American football and all of that, but anything related to other than football or soccer, in movement-wise, I know it very well. And Kung Fu and ballet, they're all related because it's all about movement. And I had a very agile body, so I was able to transform from Kung Fu into ballet right away. So I've done it all, basically. Yes.
Wow. So, and that is interesting. I know you worked on Invasion USA, and Chuck Norris was in that. What was that experience like working on that movie? I know Joseph Zito directed it, and Chuck was in it. Yeah.
Yes. Joe is a wonderful director, of course. Again, he's before his time. You know, remember that 911, it raises this whole question, international terrorists, right? That's in the 90s. And yet this movie, Invasion USA, I don't know which year it was done. I think it was in 88 or 89. It was way before. And just imagine, back then there was already a script about international artists, and some of the scenes you see like 100 international terrorists running up the beach, you know, of all different looks. And I was one of them, of course, because I was the only Asian terrorist in the movie. And then we all ran into the truck, and then like 10 different trucks just pile up. Again, that really shows you how organized and how good Joseph Zito is as a director. And this whole story is so before its time. I can't remember who wrote it, but he's also a very good action director. I truly enjoy working with him, and the most impressive scene I had was riding on those, I don't know what you call it, you know, airfoil. They have a big fan, and it was gliding through the lake in Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia. We were shooting in Atlanta, Georgia for like 2 months. And we were constantly gliding through those lakes, and crocodiles all over the place. That was an incredible scene. And when you sit on that propeller raft, wow, you just feel in touch with the nature. You know, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I really think that movie did very well then, and it will do well today because the Blu-ray is coming out. They just interviewed me 2 months ago, because now the right belong to MGM. It used to be Cannon, but now it's MGM. They just did an interview. I'm in the new Blu-ray. You know, besides the movie, there will be my interview there, so you can watch for it.
Nice. That's awesome. We'll start to wrap up and talk about your cons you have coming up. I just have one quick question. You said earlier you made the decision to move from Hong Kong here. Was that a hard decision to make?
Well, you know, I came as a teenager. I think I was 12 years old, you know, coming from Hong Kong as a teenager. And then I went on to NYU. I went to high school in New Jersey. It was definitely a change in my life. I never thought of myself becoming an actor, but somehow I was always like performing art, you know. And it was natural for me to transform from a martial artist and a dancer and a singer and right into a model. And then from there, I started auditioning and things just happened very quickly. But for the last 20, 30 years, you know, I expanded from Hollywood. And then in the early 90s, I already expanded to China, Hong Kong. I did another 40 movies in Hong Kong, China, Taiwan, and Japan. One of the biggest movies that my fans will know is called The Heroic Trio, because I star with Michelle Yeoh. This is, again, a very big movie now, and it's out on Blu-ray all over the world, and it's got many fans. And the movie did very well back then in the early 90s. It did $20 million throughout Asia in terms of the box office. Back then, 20 million USD in box office in Asia is huge already.
Yeah.
So those are my experience. But you know, I only recently returned to Hollywood simply because Hollywood now is calling for good Asian actors. Although I'm half British and half Chinese, but I tend to be cast as Asian more. So I'm back here doing Comic-Cons and also to get back into acting, and I'll be directing as well. You know, I have my own script, definitely Kung Fu related, but it's not Kung Fu, just Kung Fu, everything. Terrorist. It's again terrorist related, that I can tell you. It's called Vortex. So if you see Vortex, you know it's by me. I'm going to be at the Chicago Comic Expo. It's called C2E2, April 27, 28. Okay, so fans can meet me there, 27, 28 in Chicago, C2E2, and then I'm going to be at the Hollywood show. What is the date on that?
Oh, that's June 7th and
June
8th.
what?
7th and 8th for that one.
June 7th to 8th. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. And that is pretty much confirmed. And then will be a HorrorOddity in September. HorrorOddity in September. HorrorOddity on September the 14th at Lubbock, Texas.
The Hollywood LA,
Lubbock, Texas.
the Hollywood
There'll be a couple
show is
more
packed. There's so many names in that one.
Yes.
Bai Ling's going to be there. I've met her recently.
Last year,
She's super sweet.
Yes.
Jameson
Yes.
Newlander will be there. We
I
just
was
interviewed him
already
not too
there
long
last
ago.
year.
Nice. You ever
Hollywood
come
show
this
is very
way?
good because
You ever come more to the east? Like we're over in Nashville.
way.
Do you ever get this way at all?
I don't
Yeah.
even know where Nashville is. Last year I was in New York and New Jersey, Boston, but I have no idea where Nashville is. But I'd love
So
to go.
we're right above Atlanta. So we're in Tennessee, which is right above Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
but if you're in those areas, go check those out. I think the HorrorOddity one has Noah Hathaway from the Neverending Story, Mark Torgel, who was the Toxic Avenger, James Duvall, he was in Independence Day, Donnie Darko, and a lot of others. Both those look fantastic. So if you're in that area, go say hello to James, get him to sign something.
All right.
All right. So that's going to be it for this week's episode. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to wherever you're listening to this podcast, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Also, James, you have a Facebook chat room. It's facebook.com/groups/lightning of Big Trouble fans chat room, which we'll share that as well. So go and engage on that. Are you active on that personally?
I go up there whenever I have time to interact with all the fans. Yes, but
Nice.
in terms of posts, Jenny and my team, they help me to post it.
And you have an Instagram as well.
We have an Instagram, James Pax _lightning. So can follow me on both Instagram or Facebook. Definitely, you will see a lot of action going on there. And if my movie is confirmed, it will all be announced. You know that I'm going to be directing or I'm going to be just starring in it or whatever. But I'm definitely back in Hollywood. doing more movies for sure. You're gonna see more of my work, new work coming up.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Thank you again for taking some time with us. We really appreciate it. And tell your manager thank you. She's the one I've been talking to on Instagram. She's been great. So, all right, signing off. I'm Jay with John and James Pax. And until next time, keep it spooky.
Spooky.
I beat you.